Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, dig in, and pull out the key insights. Today we're tackling leadership, but maybe not the image that first comes to mind. For years the ideal was that traditional hero leader,
Right.
the one who seemed to have all the answers, always the smartest person in the room. And, well, success looked like power, fame, glory, money.
Yeah, that was definitely the picture.
I remember early in my career, people like GE's Jack Welch, they were seen as these infallible geniuses, almost a quasi-cult following, as one source put it.
That image was incredibly powerful, wasn't it? It
Oh.
really was. It was this model where, being the smartest, getting into the best schools, landing the top jobs, and then just racking up that power, fame, glory, money. That was it. That was the measure of success, the blueprint.
Absolutely. And that really sets up our mission for this deep dive, doesn't it? We're going to unpack why that traditional leader-hero model, well, it just isn't appropriate anymore for today's world. It's too fast-paced. So the goal is to explore a new philosophy, one built on 5 key attributes, a way to really unlock human potential and, drive meaningful impact.
And it's interesting. Our source flat out calls that old idea a myth.
The myth, yeah.
This notion that leaders can just figure everything out on their own.
Yeah.
Or that their main quality was just being smart and making sure everyone knew it. It just doesn't really fit reality now. That old playbook, best schools lead to best jobs, lead to best leaders, measured only by those external things like power, fame, glory, and money. It doesn't hold up.
It almost feels, quaint now, looking back.
A little bit, yeah.
That hard-charging, profit-optimizing hero leader style, it really has lost a lot of its appeal. And our sources give us 5 pretty solid reasons why this model is, well, outdated. The first one is just the sheer complexity and uncertainty of everything today.
Precisely. We're working in a fast-changing, complex, and unpredictable environment. That's the reality. And what that really means, practically, is that nobody can claim to have all the answers. It's impossible. So the organizations that adapt best, they're the ones embracing decentralization.
Yeah.
Spreading out the decision-making, not just funneling it all to one person at the top who supposedly knows everything.
That makes so much sense. You just can't have one brain processing everything that's happening globally today. And building on that, the second reason for the shift is this big rethink about what a company is actually for. The idea that a company's purpose is far more than making money, that's really gained ground.
Yeah, it's a fundamental challenge to that purely profit-driven idea. There's this growing expectation, from customers, from employees, even investors are asking for it.
Okay.
For companies to actually define and go after a broader impact, something beyond just the financial bottom line. It's about contributing, not just taking.
And that plays right into the third reason, what employees expect now. People today, they increasingly value authenticity and connection over a facade of strength and infallibility.
Exactly.
They want real human interaction, not some kind of superhero performance. Sounds tough to build, that environment, but probably really rewarding.
It is rewarding, definitely. And this connects to the fourth point. How work itself has changed. It's shifted away from, the mechanical, repetitive type stuff
Right.
towards jobs that need ingenuity and creativity. And you can't just command creativity. You can't order innovation.
No, you really can't.
You have to nurture an environment where it can actually happen. And that takes a very different style of leadership.
And the fifth reason, this is one we've probably all seen, maybe in the news, maybe closer to home. Successful hero leaders can easily start to believe their own hype, right? That they're untouchable and ultimately indispensable.
Oh, absolutely. It's a dangerous trap.
It seems like an easy trap to fall into with all that success. And then they can become disconnected from reality and from colleagues, surrounded by sycophants and naysayers. It sounds like a lonely place, actually, and ultimately pretty damaging.
So when you put all those 5 points together, it's just crystal clear why we need a new way to think about leadership. It's not just nice, it's essential. And this is exactly where this idea of purposeful leadership comes into play. It's laid out in the book, Purposeful Leadership, Leadership Excellence with Awareness and Purposeful Quantum Leap.
Okay, let's get into this. Purposeful leadership. It sounds like just what we need. So this philosophy, it's based on 5 attributes, 5 clarities, is that right?
5 clarities.
And these characterize leaders who can unleash the kind of human magic you see at work at some of the most high-performing companies. Okay, human magic.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like day to day?
Yeah, human magic sounds a bit out there. But it's real. It shows up as things like really fast innovation, people genuinely collaborating to solve problems, incredibly high employee retention because people feel valued,
Yep.
and just this palpable sense that everyone's working towards something meaningful together. It's when people feel safe and empowered to bring their whole selves, their best ideas to work. And the collective result is, well, it feels almost magical because it's so much greater than the sum of its parts.
Got it. So it's about unleashing potential.
Exactly.
And so,
And the framework itself, it's described as deeply intentional and elegantly structured. What's really cool is how each pillar, each clarity, reflects both the leader's internal alignment, like getting their own house in order, and also their outwards impact.
okay. Inside and out.
Yeah. Together they form this cohesive foundation for leadership that's purposeful, principled, and powerful. It's really holistic.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive into these 5 clarities. Pillar number 1 is clarity of authenticity. What's that really mean for a leader? More than just be yourself.
It is more than that, yeah. It's about really knowing and embracing your true self. That means your strengths, absolutely, but also your background, your story, and yes, your flaws, your imperfections.
Okay, embracing the whole picture.
Right. And then leading with real consistency between what you say, what you do, and what you actually intend. When you live that, it builds trust, not just through being transparent, but through genuine human connection. Like, think about it. When a leader admits they messed up or shares something they're struggling with,
Yeah.
it's not weakness. It's actually a really powerful signal to everyone else that it's okay for them to be human too. It's safe.
So the big impact there is creating psychological safety, making it safe for people to be real.
Precisely. That psychological safety, that's the bedrock. That's where the magic of open innovation, honest feedback, real collaboration, that's where it starts. It encourages others to show up fully, genuinely, because you, the leader, are modeling that it's okay.
That feels like such a critical foundation. Okay, so once you're clear on who you are, pillar 2 moves to why you lead. That's clarity of purpose.
Yes. This one's about having a really clear understanding of why you're in that leadership role. What are you trying to achieve beyond just hitting the targets for this quarter?
Right, beyond the tasks.
It's about connecting your leadership, your daily actions, to some bigger mission or vision, something that gives it all deeper meaning.
So connecting the maybe sometimes mundane daily work to something bigger. What's the payoff for the team when a leader has that clarity?
What acts like a really strong compass, you know? It helps anchor decisions, especially when things get confusing or priorities conflict. It gives a clear North Star.
Okay.
It also fuels resilience. When times get tough, and they always do, knowing the why behind the effort keeps people motivated.
That makes sense.
And maybe most importantly, it helps everyone on the team connect their specific job to that larger sense of meaning and contribution. Their work feels more impactful than just, ticking off boxes.
That connection to meaning, yeah, that's huge for keeping people engaged long term. Okay, pillar 3 builds on that. Clarity of role awareness. This sounds very practical, but I can see how it might get tricky.
It is practical, and yes, it can be tricky, but it's so important. It means really knowing your specific place within the whole system. What are your actual responsibilities? What are your boundaries? Where does your influence realistically start and stop? It's about understanding how your role fits with, supports, and interacts with everyone else's role, not seeing yourself as somehow separate or above it all.
So knowing where you fit, and crucially, maybe where you shouldn't be stepping in, what does that clarity do for how the team actually gets things done?
It leads to much better accountability, for one,
Yep.
and really focused execution, because everyone's clearer on who owns what.
Less confusion.
Exactly. It cuts down on that role confusion or people accidentally overstepping, which honestly causes so much friction and wasted time in teams.
Yeah, I see that.
And it also empowers other people because you're respecting their roles and clarifying how you all depend on each other. When roles are clear, people can just get on with their work effectively. No stepping on toes, no waiting around unsure.
That makes total sense. Eliminates a lot of drag. Okay, pillar number 4. This feels like a really big shift from that old hero model. Clarity of service.
It absolutely is a huge shift. This pillar is about seeing leadership fundamentally as a commitment to lift others up to serve the collective good of the team or organization.
Wow.
It means prioritizing being a good steward over having control, prioritizing contribution over getting recognition. It's really about understanding that your role is to enable others to succeed. Your success comes through theirs.
That's a profound change in perspective. What happens to a team when their leader truly embodies that service mindset?
Well, it dramatically strengthens the team's cohesion. That sense of togetherness and mutual respect just skyrockets. It also models humility and generosity, which are incredibly powerful behaviors to see in a leader. People emulate that.
Sure.
And ultimately, it builds deep, genuine loyalty. Why? Because the leader is having a real positive impact on people's growth, their careers, their well-being. People stick with leaders who truly invest in them.
That kind of loyalty, you can't buy that. It builds incredibly strong bonds. Okay, that brings us to the fifth and final pillar, clarity of values. This feels like it underpins everything else.
It really does. It's foundational. This pillar is about being deeply aligned with your core beliefs, the things that genuinely guide your choices, your behavior, your priorities day in and day out.
Not just words on a wall.
Exactly. It's about making those values visible through consistent ethical action, especially when it's hard. It's about walking the talk consistently, even when no one's watching, or when it might be easier not to.
And the impact of that, especially, like you said, when things get tough.
Well, it upholds integrity, plain and simple,
Yeah.
particularly during those really difficult decisions where values get tested and it's tempting to compromise. It also shapes the whole organizational culture around those shared principles. It creates a kind of moral compass for everyone. And interestingly, it acts almost like a magnet. It attracts people, collaborators, employees, even customers who share those values, and it tends to repel those who don't. It helps build a team that's genuinely on the same page, pulling in the same ethical direction.
Wow. Okay. So, taken together, these 5 pillars, authenticity, purpose, role awareness, service, and values, they really do create something incredibly powerful. The source uses the analogy of a well-calibrated compass.
That analogy is just perfect, isn't it? They provide this grounded yet dynamic structure for leading.
Yeah.
They encourage what the source calls reflective leadership, one that's resilient, empathetic, and transformational.
Yeah.
It's not static. It's about leading from this place of deep self-awareness, yes, but also constant outward contribution, always learning, always adapting.
So, tracing the arc here, we've moved from that old model, the individualistic, often ego-driven hero leader, to something much more integrated, more human-centric. A leadership guided by these 5 clarities: authenticity, purpose, role awareness, service, and values. It really emphasizes collaboration, empathy, genuine impact over just individual glory or power. It feels like a complete paradigm shift.
It truly is. This new model, it recognizes that maybe the most powerful leaders aren't the ones with all the answers anymore. They're the ones who can create the conditions for others to find the answers, to unlock their own potential.
So as you're listening and thinking about these 5 clarities, authenticity, purpose, role awareness, service, and values, maybe reflect for a moment. Which one do you think is the toughest for leaders to really live out consistently in today's incredibly complex, always-on world? And maybe thinking about your own work, your own life. What's just one small practical step you could take this week to cultivate one of these pillars a little more deeply? Something manageable, but meaningful, just something to think about.